And welcome back. We're moving into our final segment for today, and we're continuing with our discussions on fire prevention and just safety guidelines in general. And joining us for this conversation, we have Station Officer for the National Fire Service, Orin Smith, and we also have Station Supervisor Phillip Mencias. Good morning, gentlemen,
Welcome.
and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning to all radio listeners out there in Radio Land.
All right. Now, when around this time of year, obviously nobody wants a fire, but let's talk about some of the things that people may be doing around this time that increases the opportunity for fires.
This time of the year is one of the most joyful time of the year. It's a time when people across the world celebrates the birth of Christ. And unfortunately, this time, although it should bring a lot of joy and happiness, increases the potential indeed for a lot of fires to occur. This is in part because of the many Christmas decorations that we use, the lightings, the prolonged cooking and baking that we do. Some may go out partying. Children, I hope, is not left unattended, but in the hands of a capable adult. And preferably someone who is able to move swiftly to keep up with the kids, and not, some elderly person that cannot keep up with their energy.
So let's start off with some of the, every year you actually go on a campaign to try to educate people on fire prevention.
Correct.
And it's because we know we do see a lot of fires around this time of year. What are some of the main reasons, causes of the fire that we tend to see?
Some are electrical, some are unattended stoves, others are gas leaks.
Okay.
There are a number of other reasons, kids playing with fires.
So because the kids are left idle as well, you find that they start to play with with the fire. So let's start with the main, the first one you pointed out, the electrical issue.
Christmas decoration.
Yes.
You should also always check to ensure that the indoor and outdoor lights are in good conditions. Check for frayed wires, loose or cracked connections, damaged wiring itself. And ensure that outlets are in good condition also, and that the electrical supply that you have is capable of the excess load you're going to be putting on it. Try as much as possible not to overload extension cords or outlets. The plugging of too much electrical appliances in these can cause overheating, which can lead to fire occurring.
So we know that that is one of the risks that we tend to see.
Correct.
Then you speak about the cooking aspect and the butane gas, right?
Right. For the butane, and a lot of people will be purchasing butane at this time of year, they should check their tank to ensure that the tank is in good condition. The bottom of it is not badly corroded such that it is flaking, literally flaking off. This is, and I appeal to the many gas suppliers out there who will be filling these tanks, that proper checking of these cylinders be done. On no account should a naked flame be used to detect leaks. Soap and water solution is always best. The increase in the size of the bubble indicates that there is a leakage.
So you take soapy water and you rub it along the tank, and that's how you see if the bubble grows, as you mentioned, you know that
there's an increase in leak.
Don't use a lighter.
By all means, do not use a lighter.
Which I can't believe some people will do, but they use a lighter to see if they'll...
Tanks should be kept in a cool, dry location, free of moisture and dampness. This prevents the flaking or the corrosion at the bottom of the tanks. And tank should not be carried by the valve, but by the ring collar that surrounds the valve. You should not drop a tank and then kick it with your foot to move it from one point to another. Just gently roll the tank, or have another person carry the tank with you.
And you're talking about storing it, storage is so important because sometimes people just put it in the yard, it get in the mud, etc. So what's your recommendation there in terms of how do you place it and what kind of surfaces you try to utilize?
You can put it on blocks elevated off the ground so that the air circulates underneath. When it's just right on the flat surface, then that creates dampness from the heat and the cool that goes day and night, and it creates moisture under the tank.
Now the other thing is some people do live near salt or the sea, which might lead to corrosion over time. How often should you seek to change that? Because some people look at it as you buy it, it's a one-time kind of purchase and that's it.
Set and forget.
Yeah.
Well, you should inspect the tank regularly. Where corrosion occurs, once it is seen that the corrosion is starting to occur, then clean the tank. You can take a sandpaper and clean it up nicely, repaint it, that it stays in a good condition.
Yeah. So pay attention to it.
Correct.
And as you mentioned, even the people who supply the gas should pay attention to what they're filling as well.
Correct.
It's a dual responsibility.
The condition of the cylinders that comes for filling.
All right. Now let's talk about the
cooking.
Fire, before we move into the cooking, the fire response. I know, Mr. Mencias, you are the station manager. So let's talk about what is the best way to get contact the fire department.
Calling 90
Or 911.
or 911.
Yeah.
That's a direct way that they'll connect you.
There's
No,
a direct line as well.
We have a direct line,
Yes.
but that's the national hotline, emergency lines, 90 and 911.
Now we know that we have always, and you guys are always under heavy scrutiny when there is a fire, about response time, about access to water, about whether the tank is filled. What do you do to prepare yourselves, the firefighters that will be working, the equipment that you'll be using for this particular season that we tend to see an increase in fires?
At this time of the year, the National Fire Service always goes on heightened alert. We're always on a potential standby alert. And preparing ourselves, we do training regularly, weekly trainings with the shift, weekly testing of equipment to ensure that they're in good conditions. However, you can have a person that is a very healthy person, went to the doc a week ago and, everything was good. And a week after he dies from a heart attack. These things happen. So although you might have a vehicle that works today, a couple of days from now, it could present some troubles that you didn't see or did not detect.
Now, what should you tell the people when you call in about a fire? Obviously, you need some important information. What?
Location of the fire.
Okay.
Type of fire.
Okay.
And if you
location, like where in the house?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No,
address.
Area.
Oh, the address.
Yeah. If you could use a landmark, no?
Okay.
Or give the number of the house.
Okay. What else?
How long it has been burning? Do you need to know that or no?
No.
Not quite. But
So just where it is. That's the most important.
The location, whether anybody is trapped, that's a real important
Yeah.
thing.
Now, going back to the issue of baking, as you were mentioning, let's talk about some of the prevention
Cooking in
mechanisms
general.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. One, you need to check and ensure that your cooking appliance is in good condition for the excess cooking and baking that will be taking place. Clean the surface or even inside the oven of any accumulated grease that may have occurred over the time of use. Keep flammables such as napkins, towels, and so forth away from heat source. And this is a particular important one. Scratch the match
Before you turn on the gas.
turning on the gas supply.
Okay.
Otherwise, you could have a blowback of heat in your face, or I'm sure there are people out there who had experienced this. When you turn on the gas supply and then you try to scratch that match, you see a flash of flames across the surface of the stove.
Yeah.
Those are potentially dangerous, especially if you have curtains or
Something flammable nearby.
easy flammable material nearby. So,
The other thing you mentioned just now was cleaning even the top of your stove.
yeah.
If you have spills, etc., it's not just for hygiene reasons, but because of fire considerations as well, right?
Correct. And you should always have someone, if you're going to be cooking or baking late at night, stay up with you. 'Cause you might get tired from excess work during the day or excess activities and then fall asleep and have cooking unattended.
Okay.
Another thing, if the grease pan on the stove catches fire, simply put a lid on it and turn off the gas supply. Allow it to cool rather than to move it. If the oven, if something inside the oven is burning, simply turn off the gas supply and allow it to cool. The oven is designed that it has holes at the lower back of the oven that allows air to be drawn into the flame chamber. But the upper part, the upper chamber where the baking actually takes place, does not have an air inlet because the heat from the flame at the lower chamber goes up to that side and cook the food. When you open the door in the upper chamber, you let the air in, and that will cause flame to be generated, and it will come from the same point that you open into your face.
And that's one of the things people don't always understand, that air feeds a fire.
That's
Oxygen
right.
feeds a fire.
That's right.
So don't use a towel or throw your kitchen towel over the fire.
You can use a damp towel. However, don't throw it.
Yeah.
You need to approach gently, cover your body clear enough to stay away from the heat, and then place it over and allow it to smother the fire. It literally blocks the oxygen from getting to the fire.
And you said something else, leave it there, as opposed to sometimes people in the panic, they want to throw it through a window, throw it outside, do something.
In their haste, usually they get burned, and when they get burned, you drop, and that creates a serious situation. Panic always tends to make things worse.
So let's talk about Christmas candles. We've heard this one quite often, actually, and it's unfortunately it's usually the circumstances where people don't have electricity, but also around this time people use it for decorative purposes.
Yeah. Place candles on a safe surface. You don't want to place candles where you have a lean surface or near flammable materials. Place candles in a receptacle, not on the bare table or wooden surface. Do not place candles in closet or on bed head, even under the bed. Those are really potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
Keep all flammables away from the flame of the candle.
Yeah. So that includes, don't put candles next to your curtain or light candles around your curtain.
Even if you have the window closed, don't put the candles near flammable materials. You might put it there, but somebody else might come and open the window.
And we're talking about even putting them in a stand. You can create those as well, right? If you're going to use candles, even if it's not for decoration purposes, what's the best way? Or
some people have small pots that they put them in, depending on you have some nice stumpy round candle with broad surface. They put them in a pot. It's common practice for some people to even put a little bit water into the pot. That when it burns low, it smothers itself out.
That's a good idea. So let's talk about your general safety. And one of the most important things that we're seeing is the children are out of school. Pay attention to what they're doing.
Correct.
Right?
Children tend to learn from what they see adults do and mimic the same action. So if you scratch a match or light a lighter and they see this, they already learn it. And when you leave those things in easy reach of children, they will find them and they will play with them. They'll go and experiment.
Keep matches and lighters away.
Out of reach of children. And teach them that if they see these things, don't touch them.
Okay. Now, you gave us some great tips about how to deal with fires related to cooking. Let's talk about how you can manage, or if you should try to manage, a fire that has just started in your house. If, for example, the candle spills over and something starts, what can you do? What is your advice?
If you have a curtain, let's say, and a candle catch the curtain, it is best to take the curtain down and get it outside as quickly as possible. If you have an extinguisher in the house, and this is very important, you'll need to have that and quickly use that to put out the flame. Extinguishers, though, don't detect fires. They allow you to have a means of taking action to put out the flame when the fire is discovered. But a smoke detector now is a very important one. They go nicely together. Smoke detector and a fire extinguisher. They are your eyes and ears, the smoke detectors, when you are not there or when your back is turned. And they're very sensitive. They'll make a loud alarm, annoying sometimes, but very useful.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about, it's not the practice, the general practice for most Belizeans to have a fire extinguisher in their homes. Is it a worthwhile investment?
Very, very worth the while. Imagine that you've been working for 15 years saving and get your house built, moved in, you feel good. You accomplished something great in your life. Only to lose it in 5 minutes' time by a simple candle that you left or a stove you left unattended. And had you have a smoke detector when your back is turned, that could have sounded an alarm when the flame is literally very small and the smoke production is high. And that'll detect. You move in there, you get your extinguisher, you put out the fire, you save your house, $75,000 or 15 years of savings, still there with you.
Yeah.
And smoke detectors are definitely worthwhile, not just in your bedrooms, but also in
all
your other
occupiable
living
areas in
space.
the house. Yeah.
Except in the kitchen, right? Or
You
there's
can
a
put it
placement?
between the hallway and kitchen because the kitchen always have the
smoke.
food cooking and smoking. So
Yeah.
not too close to where the stoves.
Okay. All right. Any other advice you'd like to give people about preventing fires?
Yes, certainly. I have seen a lot of children playing with palomas, and they have lighters and matches and other heat source such as mosquito coils, and they are not being supervised. And some of them are pretty young. Advise them on these things. Let them, if the adult would allow them to use it, then have an adult supervising its use and not leave them on their own. Don't burst these things in glass containers where fragments can fly and injury can occur needlessly. Do not burst them near gas tanks.
But
Do
throw
not.
them on the cars. And
Yeah.
people do that.
Those are real dangerous things to do.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you both for joining us this morning and for sharing some reminders for some people and some eye-openers for others.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. I'd like to remind everybody that fire safety is not just the responsibility of the fire department. It is everybody's responsibility.
Right. We're going to go ahead and take that final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up. So stay tuned.